Here's my message to any young person here in Britain thinking of going out there. You won't be some valued member of a movement. You are cannon fodder for them. They will use you. If you're a boy, they will brainwash you, strap bombs to your body and blow you up. If you are a girl, they will enslave and abuse you. That is the sick and brutal reality of ISIL.
Well, here's another final thought to add. Radical Islam is not just an American problem, it is a global problem. Finally, a leader with a plan. British Prime Minister David Cameron, imagine this, has a 5-year plan to defeat the poison of Islamic extremism, because words without actions are meaningless. Here with more on the plan, I welcome my friend, Israeli relations expert Philippe Assouline. Philippe, great to see you tonight.
You too, Tomi.
Philippe, let's start with the first step, and it even becomes before his plan. That is to name the enemy. Are you surprised Great Britain will do it before the United States?
Not surprised, disappointed. Tony Blair actually hinted at this in 2007 after the attacks on the, or was it 2005, at the attacks in London. But David Cameron should be commended for taking a very direct approach. Like you're saying, it's a global problem, and the first thing you need to do is to identify the enemy. But he made a lot of very other important points that stem from that President Obama can't make because he won't identify the enemy. It's that you have to take a middle road. There's a very serious problem of Islamic extremism, which the Arab countries are probably the most loud about right now. That means there's a possibility for us to address the ideological problem. We can exert an influence on the ideology and on the debate within that religion. When President Obama can't name the enemy, there's no going in and playing with the ideology.
I love that you reference that, because on Twitter, I've been getting attacked for that time after time. People are telling me, oh, you're anti-Islam, and that's why you're saying that all Muslims are terrorists. No, but we need to fight the ideology here of extremism. And if you don't name it, you can't fight it. That's why I had my viral final thoughts, why I urged President Obama to name the enemy. And I love what David Cameron did when he stood up there in that thought that I play at the top here, saying, men, if you go over there, they're going to use you as human bombs. Women, they're going to enslave you, they're going to abuse you. He's very frank and very straightforward, and that is how you start combating this idea, start combating this homegrown terrorism. So, Philippe, I want to go into some of the finer points of his plan here, because he also wants to address radicalization. Can you tell our viewers how he's going to go about that?
Yes, so what I thought was most encouraging, apart from what you're saying about ISIS, where he's trying to discourage people himself from going there, he said there is a debate within Islam, and this gives people hope, where people don't have to abandon their religion, they don't have to feel they're betraying their grandparents, but they can still be fully aligned with the values of liberty. And this gives tremendous hope. And the way he's going to do it, one thing he said is, you can't support it but not participate and think you're okay. So if you think, for example, that suicide bombings in Israel, he said this, if you think suicide bombings in Israel are somehow okay but not in London, you're part of the problem. And the second thing is, let's not support and encourage the loudest organizations, those Islamic organizations that support a rigid interpretation of Islam but are very aggressive, like CARE in the United States. Let's instead support religious Muslims who are authentic but interpret and choose to interpret Islam in a way that's compatible with the West and liberty and modernity. And that was the most powerful thing I think he said.
Another thing that he urged is he urged for those Muslim leaders to come forth and have a strong message for the entire religion to say, hey, this is not what we're about. He wanted them to be more vocal than they have been. Is that going to be one of the keys here?
I think we're at a turning point where it can be one of the keys. It's definitely a central part of his plan. But in the Arab world, looking at ISIS, looking at Hamas, looking at Hezbollah, look at what's happening in Syria, there's a desire for things to change. People are not going to abandon their religion. They're not going to abandon their culture, but they want things to be different. And there's an increasing number of people who are skipping the hadiths, which are like the commentary about the Quran, and going straight to the Quran and finding verses they can interpret in a way that's compatible with Israel, with the West, with equality, with freedom. He's making that a central plan. Sisi of Egypt has made that a central plan of his platform because they're fighting extremism there now, even though that's where all the extremism came from. This administration in the United States somehow doesn't want to even wade in those waters. So it creates a backlash. On the one hand, you have it has nothing to do with Islam. People feel like they're being lied to, so there's a bit of like resentment towards all of Islam. You have to take this middle road, and David Cameron, I think, is doing what's exactly right.
I think so as well, and I never want to ask you, Philippe, to speculate on motive here, but I just want to get your sense of it, because that's what I don't understand, is because I see this as an incredible opportunity for President Obama to do the exact same thing. I don't care that he's a Democrat. I think he's a leader of the most powerful nation on the face of the earth, and I want to see him be a leader, because he's still my leader. I didn't elect him, but he's still my leader. So I think this is an incredible opportunity for him to come out after events like Chattanooga and say, hey, we need some leadership within the Muslim communities as well. We need to stand up and say extremism is not a part of Islam. We need someone to stand up and identify the enemy. Why do you think he has such a reticence to do so?
I think President Obama is steeped in a kind of identity politics ideology, very afraid to point fingers at other cultures, very willing and eager to put all the blame on America, on the West. And that is kind of paralyzing. It makes people blind to what's going on. The truth is the American Muslim community is probably the best integrated in the West. It has amazing potential to develop an authentic message that is not extremist, because right now extremism is a huge problem within Islam, and it is basing itself on a number of texts. You have people in America who are using other texts to promote peace, and I think because of this leftist posture, this identity politics kind of posture, there's a fear of even pointing to the culture or the religion as a problem. Another huge problem is that President Obama is negotiating with the harshest promoters of radical Islam. So he's rewarding Iran. He's rewarding the Muslim Brotherhood. The idea is if we go for the hardest ones and we can kind of domesticate their message, it'll work out. But it never has in history.
And furthermore, we're talking about integration. That's something that David Cameron also spoke about, because we know that that is a problem in Europe, even more so than it is here in the United States, is that we've got a lot of young Muslims that feel disenfranchised in their communities in Europe, so they feel like they can seek some kind of a belonging, some kind of a brotherhood if they go and fight for ISIS. And he wants to combat that. He wants to integrate and incentivize integration within the country. Can we talk about that plan, and do you think it's going to work?
It won't work alone. A lot of people have tried to reduce this to a question of economics. Oh, if we give them jobs, it'll be fine. A lot of people don't have jobs. A lot of people are not integrated. They don't resort to traveling halfway across the world to blow people up. What David Cameron said is the integration hand in hand with the ideology. They have to go together. And he said the root cause of this is not foreign policy. It's not lack of money. It's not Israel. It's the ideology itself. So when you have both, that's when you have a potent program. And absolutely, if you can make people feel a sense of purpose with a career, have a life they enjoy, that's fantastic. But let's not forget, a lot of terrorists have been very wealthy people who have time to even think about this. So you need both.
And every time you have a strategy, it needs to be multi-pronged, it needs to be multi-dimensional. That's why I really loved what we heard from David Cameron, because he did seem to address a lot of points here that hit home. Another thing that he talked about very, very candidly was addressing extremist speakers, saying that they don't have a place at our universities. We need to make sure that we're challenging those views and make sure that that extremism isn't being promoted. Do you think that that's something that we could see here in the United States as well, with certain groups that are advocating for extremism? We know we've got YouTube videos that do the same thing.
I think it would be vital. I'm on a university campus every day, and I see the poison that this message promotes. And it doesn't present itself as religious extremism, right? The BDS movement, which we spoke about, the people on campus who support it will often make excuses for Islamic extremism, calling it resistance, as if killing children somehow is legitimate, targeting children somehow legitimate as a means of political expression. In this country so far, the only backlash has been against speakers on the right, even Muslim ones like Ayaan Hirsi Ali, who want to reform their religion, might have a harsh, critical message, but that's where the reticence has been to let them speak. There hasn't been any backlash on the speakers. Maybe England will set the tone. I hope it will, because the real poison starts when it presents itself as about human rights, as about little things, and gradually you make people used to the idea that extremism is normal. That's the soil that it then poisons. I don't see anything in the United States to deal with that yet. I hope the British will be an example for us.
You're right, because we cloud it with humanitarianism. We cloud it with, oh, the people in those areas. I think it's important for us to reinforce, you and I spoke about this before, that our message is a message of freedom. And we're talking about doing deals with places like Iran that we know oppress their people as well. This is about humanity. This is about bringing people up that do share our values of freedom and democracy, and we want to foster that. We don't want to reward nations that are trying to stamp that out. And that also starts right here at home with our universities, and it starts with people speaking out That's what I did last week, and I'm getting a lot of criticism for it because I did speak out and I named the enemy. And again, I'm being shamed for it. They want to silence me. They want to say that I'm Islamophobic. They want to say that I'm hate-filled. Has nothing to do with it. I told people on several final thoughts as well, if you are a peaceful Muslim, I have absolutely no problem with you. I have no problem with peaceful Jews, peaceful Muslims, peaceful Hindus. If you support freedom and democracy, I'm behind you as well. So it has to start with changing the messaging as well. But I want to see, moving forward here in dealing with ISIS, dealing with homegrown terrorism, do you think that we are going to be able to effectively deal with it with the strategy that we have now?
I'm not sure what the strategy is now. There's a lot of patchworks of reacting after the events. But what I can tell you is I know a lot of devout religious Muslims who see extremism as a problem. I can name them for you. And that's where the hope is. That's where what you're saying is perfectly implementable. You can weed out the extremism and oppose it and still be a very good Muslim. Some would argue that's the only way of being a very good Muslim. They have a big problem in their religion now, the way Christianity did, the way Judaism did. But there's a way to solve it. The present administration, I do not think, is encouraging the right side of the spectrum. I don't even really think they have a policy. There's a lot of wishful thinking, a lot of nice speeches, but a real policy to target the problem at the root, that some people have an incentive to promote bad values under the guise of religion. I don't see any real program to deal with that.
And no religion should use, or no member of an extremist group should use religion to promote their message or promote death and killing. We saw the same exact thing, and I'm okay with saying it, with the KKK using Christianity to fight their fight. Now, I can sit here as a Christian and say, no, 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 that is not my Christianity. I am very okay with calling that out. I think that's what we need to see from the Islamic community as well, is calling that out, because that's the only way to have a real, honest, genuine conversation. That's what you and I do every week. Philippe, thank you so much for being here. You always enlighten our audience.